What do you think it would take for reconciliation with your dad and also your family?
There's not.
There's
I
not.
mean, no. There will never be a reconciliation. I think that the most that anyone could ask for at this point is for everyone to go on with their lives as they see fit, and to just leave the other side alone. But at this point, there will be no chance for reconciliation. And unfortunately, I'm going to continue to respond to whatever allegations are put out. And I just want to make it clear in this interview that the only time I ever say anything is if I am responding to something. If you want to speak and for whatever to be heard or believed, then you have to be accepting of the fact that the other side is going to have something to say too.
I want to give you the opportunity right now. If your dad was watching, what would you say to him? What message do you have for Todd?
Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Let me live my life. I'm tired. I'm over it. I thought that I had moved on from that part of my life, and it seems week after week that something else is drudged up for whatever reason or whatever agenda is being pressed that week, and I'm just tired of it. Leave me alone.
I wanted to start with your post from July 27th, and that's of course you announcing that you and your husband were splitting after 9 years together. I mean, first of all, how are you holding up?
You know, I think it would be a lie if I said I wasn't sad some days and happy some days. You know, some days you wake up and it's going to be a great day, and then some days you wake up and you're all in your feels, and I'm just trying to take it day by day. I have a little one, you know, he's 8 years old, but we're trying our best to do it together and to understand each other's feelings, and just navigate this with Jackson in the best way possible, but also by taking care of ourselves too.
Absolutely. Now, are you still in communication with Jackson's dad? Like, how would you describe your guys' relationship now?
I wouldn't say that there's been a huge change in communication. The communication just looks differently.
Right.
You know, now we're co-parenting and we're learning how to navigate that and learning what proper boundaries are and trying to really set those and make sure, you know, that Jackson knows that he's loved when he wants to see his dad. When I have him, I have allowed my door to be open because I feel that that is healthy right now for the transition. And as long as we can continue to get along, and I'm really proud of what we're doing. So I think that that's not going to change.
Well, it sounds like there's no bad blood then between you two at all.
No, there's not.
Amazing. What would you say led to this decision?
I would say not one single action led to this decision. It was over a period of time. Ultimately, we're just different people. We want different things. And, you know, we were 19 years old when we fell in love, and now I'm almost 32, and life just looks very different, and that's okay. It's taken a lot for us to realize that and accept that. That's been really hard.
So obviously, you know, there comes the decision to split, and then there comes the decision to make it public and to make that announcement. And you just know, I'm sure, that opens you up to some scrutiny from fans, followers, but also family. And your dad did take to Instagram following your divorce announcement, and he said that his support for you was, quote, biblically based. What did you make of that?
Because he has me blocked on social media, I was just a little confused by the post. There's been many exchanges, and we have each other's personal numbers. So I feel that if it was something that was from a genuine place, then it should have been private and not on Instagram.
So your dad never reached out to you privately after you announced you're getting divorced?
No.
Okay. Well, he did talk about it on his podcast as well. Were you surprised by his reaction there?
You know, I get bits and pieces of what happens on his podcast through therapy over the last year. I had just been advised by my therapist to not tune in, to not follow along on social media, things that were being posted, because it's triggering to me. And so I try to distance myself from that as much as possible. However, I was told many things that have been said, and it's hard not to want to respond to those things, because some of the things that have been said either are just categorically false, or maybe the intentions I don't feel are pure.
As you know, he also did sit down with ET, and he did make some claims about you that I was hoping I could actually get your reaction to, and maybe even add some clarification. Todd said that you texted him around the time that you announced that you were getting a divorce.
I received a text message from Lindsie about 2 weeks ago, and I turned that over to our attorneys.
Why?
Because we don't feel that it's safe to communicate.
I find it odd that anyone would go out here and make some of the statements that are allegedly said on the podcast, things that have been posted over the years, and then use the excuse of, I don't feel comfortable or safe doing that. Well, you feel safe speaking on me publicly. So I feel that it would be in the best interest for everyone to be able to sit down and, bring everything to the table and say, this is what it is, and let the pieces fall where they may. I have extended that courtesy multiple times and never been taken up on it. So I think that speaks volumes.
Do you feel like you've done things to harm your family that warranted him to make it so straightforward and be like, you know what, she texted and I actually just passed those over to our attorney?
Well, actually, I believe that it was made, people were made to believe that it was multiple texts that were, it was a singular text.
Right.
And the text had a direction to actually give it to his attorney. So that's probably what I would have done as well. And I think he knows that I wouldn't speak to him without attorneys present anyway.
So it was like protocol almost.
Right.
In our interview with him, Todd described an emotional battle within you.
There was just some kind of emotional battle that Lindsie has had within herself, and jealousy amongst her siblings.
Any truth to that? And where do things stand with you and your siblings now?
There is no jealousy. What is there to be jealous of? I moved away from something that I felt was toxic and not in my best interest, and forged my own path. I'm educated. I have my own home. I have a beautiful child. I have a great life. I have a life outside of the public eye that I truly value. And there's nothing to be jealous of because they're on a reality TV show. I'm not envious of anyone who's on reality TV.
You just mentioned that, it's up to people to believe what they want to believe. Do you feel like your siblings believe Todd over you? Do you feel like your siblings have sided with him?
Definitely there's been a line drawn in the sand, and participation from siblings to go along with the story that is being sold to anyone who will listen. That's unfortunate. There's nothing I can really do about that. And at the end of the day, it's not for me to care, because I know what the truth is, and I know what the majority of people who have watched my story and who have listened to me know that it's not hard to pick out the pieces of the puzzle and to make it match.
Your lawyer is on the call with us, and I don't want to get into the nuts and bolts of these allegations, but of course, in the past, you have accused your dad and Chase of extortion and blackmail. And so I just wanted to ask, where does that case stand right now?
That case is still an investigation. What we're doing is we're making sure we have all our ducks in a row to make sure that Lindsie is protected. We've provided the information and communication that we have to law enforcement, and are ready for any questions about it from law enforcement or the public.
Lindsie, let me ask you this. How do you move on from that when it comes to your relationship with your family, if at all?
I'm not interested whatsoever. Truthfully, it's something that I probably, and this sounds crazy, but it's true. It's something I probably could have moved past had people been honest about the entire situation and how it unfolded.
At this point, do you still talk to anyone in the family?
I don't.
You don't?
No.
Can I ask, do you miss them?
In some ways, I think yes, because that's your family. But then in a lot of ways, I feel like it's a lot healthier for me to be where I'm at. I need to protect my peace, and I don't want to be drug up in drama all of the time. And I don't, and unfortunately, I have been the person that drama is always surrounding because I'm not a part of them, and so I'm the outsider looking in. So I'm always the target. In the last 5 years, had I known what I know today, I never would have done the show.
Really?
Because I feel like I'm still dealing with things from when I was on the show so many years ago. I haven't been on Chrisley Knows Best since 2017.
Right.
And I still feel like I'm pigeonholed into some of those storylines and get messages all the time from people seeing reruns or, whatever, that it's just not me. And so there's been a lot of learning lessons, and it's not for the faint of heart to live their life publicly, because you do feel like you owe people an explanation to a degree.
Yeah.
And for that, I wish that was different, but unfortunately it's not. And you just have to make the best of it.
I mean, how do you think your life and your relationship with your family would be different had you not done the show?
That's an interesting question. And I actually didn't have a relationship with my family prior to the show. So when that opportunity came to fruition, it was like everybody came together to do this and didn't know what was going to happen with it. And then, it was like this one big happy family. But up until that point, I was just a college student, living with my boyfriend, and had no communication with my dad or his wife whatsoever.
Your dad also had a message for you in the podcast too, like I mentioned, saying that he was there for you, there for Jackson whenever he needs him.
Well, one, they don't know my son. So I don't know how you could be there for someone that you don't know. He hasn't seen my son since he was 4 years old, and he's going to be 9 at the end of December. And was
that your decision or was that his?
That was my decision.
Yeah.
And I feel validated in that, and I don't need public validation, to make that type of decision, because ultimately I'm Jackson's mother.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, I don't see how you say some of the things that are said, but then in the same breath say that, you're there for this person. It's a bit calculated and manipulating, I think.